Don't talk to us about celebrating the death of people when you have been celebrating the death of Palestinians, laughing about it, mocking it. You have no moral high ground, MAGA.
Have you thought about the fact that this week in Utah, a white Christian got killed by a white Christian? And then the next day, HBCUs were under threat. Now, how'd we get in it?
That was the voice of Dr. Freddy Haynes III, pastor of Friendship West in Houston, Texas. We're going to get into all of what he said, but isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that when white-on-white violence occurs, white people turn their rage towards black people? We didn't have anything to do with that person killing Charlie Kirk. And yet here we are, the recipients of that backlash, of their desire for revenge and reciprocity. And isn't that just like America? Now, this clip from Dr. Haynes is a little bit long. It's like 5 minutes long. So if you don't mind, I'm going to play a portion and respond to what he says, because what he says is so rich that we have to dig deep into it. Listen in.
Get your theology together, because the sad thing is we live in a nation where twisted, toxic theology is poisoning the politics of this nation. Have you thought about the fact that this week in Utah, a white Christian got killed by a white Christian? And then the next day, HBCUs were under threat. Now, how'd we get in it? I mean, that's called white-on-white crime. You came the wrong Sunday if you thought I'm sorry, I see y'all are real sophisticated and you look really good. I hope they warned you about me, okay? Because on this Sunday, we gonna keep it 100. On this Sunday, we gonna tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And so here they are. Here they are. In Utah. It's more of us in church than in Utah. We ain't got nothing to do with what they just did.
Seriously, folks, we have black folks in particular, and I will extend that even further. Tyler Robinson is responsible for Tyler Robinson. And if there are any conspirators, co-conspirators, they are the ones that are responsible for it. Republicans are trying to move this into collective punishment for something an individual has done. Now, I want you to think about this logically, both as it applies to the black community as well as to the broader progressive, leftist, liberal, Democrat, anybody who's not MAGA, essentially, even never Trumpers. If you slow down and think about what they're trying to do, they are trying to ensure that any single thing done by anybody against any of them in this country of 330 million people, everybody who is not them has to pay the price. Can I say that again? MAGA, Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, J.D. Vance, and all the rest of them are trying to ensure that anything done by anybody in this country of 330 million people against MAGA will trigger collective punishment, which is a war crime in terms of war, but it is also immoral and illogical, but it is absolutely what they want to do. They want to be able to penalize and punish people who had nothing to do with it simply because, well, that's what they want to do anyway. They're not just so angry about the murder of Charlie Kirk. They want to harm us anyway. They want to constrict our rights, our freedoms, our ability to vote, our ability to be free. And even some are calling for our lives to be taken, calling for public executions.
We took the same oath to defend our country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. These leftists are our enemies. Give or take 3 years left. If you call for a civil war, the conservative veterans in this country will take our country back from the evil left. We use words, they use bullets. Mr. President, I implore you, call for a civil war. Call for a civil war and let us do our thing. Let us go door to door, street by street, and clean this country.
Murdered. So here's my message to the President of the United States. I'm not going to say that I speak for everybody else or anybody else. But as a taxpaying citizen of this country who has spent years being attacked by the vile left, we want true justice. So give us the green light or handle it yourself with the military. Each and every one of them. All of them. We want public executions because you see it hasn't been freedom for all in this country over the last 5+ years.
They want to harm us anyway. They want to constrict our rights, our freedoms, our ability to vote, our ability to be free, and even some are calling for our lives to be taken, calling for public executions. Let's listen to more from Dr. Freddy Haynes III.
A white Christian gets killed, murdered, not assassinated. We're going to tell the whole truth today. Martin King got assassinated. Malcolm X got assassinated. Medgar X got assassinated. Don't compare Kirk to King. Ain't no such comparison now.
No, there is no comparison of Charlie Kirk to Dr. King. That's for sure. In fact, Charlie Kirk despised Dr. King. And later in his life, he made it his life's purpose to dethrone Dr. King from his hallowed position in the moral pantheon, not only of the United States of America, but across the globe.
We note in our piece that Kirk describes King as, quote, a bad guy. It's true. And Kirk's self-described very, very radical view that the country made a mistake when it passed the Civil Rights Act. Also true. As we note in the piece, Kirk has previously described Kirk as a hero and a civil rights icon. It's true. I used to be wrong. What inspired Kirk to shift his view on MLK? Why does Kirk think that MLK is a bad guy? When Kirk says that MLK says, quote, one good thing he didn't believe, what does he mean by that? Why does Kirk believe passing the Civil Rights Act was a mistake? Now, again, apparently they don't listen to the show because we do that at least once a week, right? Once a week we talk about why the Civil Rights Act was a mistake.
In the moral pantheon, not only of the United States of America, but across the globe, that is the position that Dr. King's assassination placed him. Not only his assassination, let me correct myself, Dr. King's life's work. Dr. King received the Nobel Peace Prize during his lifetime because he worked for peace. Charlie Kirk worked to divide this nation along the lines of them versus us, powerful versus powerless. And so there is no comparison between Charlie Kirk and Dr. King, that is for sure. But if you would allow me to disagree with my esteemed colleague in the faith, Dr. Freddy Haynes III, and with many of you who have already left comments who don't like that we call it an assassination. But by the definition, the glossary term of assassination, it is the killing, the sudden killing or planned killing of a political figure for political reasons. That's an assassination. And I understand that a lot of people don't want to apply that to it because the word and the term itself, assassination, gives a veneer of legitimacy or validation or martyrdom, but that's not necessarily required. The word itself is a structural word. It captures an act, a political act of violence. It does not itself. See, what it is we're so used to the good people in our country and on our planet being assassinated. I think that's what it is. Ultimately, we are so used to the quote unquote good people being assassinated that we have only ever associated it with the deaths of actually good people fighting for good causes. That was not Charlie Kirk, and that's why so many people do not want to apply that word to Charlie Kirk. But it was an assassination by the definitional sense of the word. a politically targeted killing of a public figure. But unlike the assassinations of Gandhi or Dr. King or Malcolm X, it does not canonize Charlie Kirk's cause with martyrdom. It doesn't sanctify him, or it does not give him historical legitimacy. It just simply marks the violence of the act, and it does not retroactively sanctify his life. As the preacher said, how you die does not redeem how you live.
Let me hasten to say, I'm anti-political violence. Kirk should still be alive. I don't agree with the time with anything Kirk said. What Kirk said was dangerous. What Kirk said was racist, rooted in white supremacy, nasty, and hate-filled. But he still should be alive. He still should be playing with his kids. He still should be experiencing the love with his wife. He still should be experiencing life as he saw it. I don't want anybody, please hear me well, anybody to be victimized by political violence, but I'm going to keep it a buck.
Yeah, that part. And we must be able to hold that dichotomy. Again, I'm not going to moralize or grandstand or lecture people who have been celebrating. I said in my last video, and I mean it, your morality is your choice. As for me and my house, we would never celebrate the assassination or the murder of anyone. Not just out of a sense of morality. The thing I will say again that I said in the last video, as a matter of strategy, when you're dealing with people who are rabidly desirous of harm, it's like October 7th. One of my biggest issues was that whoever planned October 7th from the Hamas equation literally handed into the hands of the most evil regime on the face of the planet the moral high ground that they needed to kill almost 700,000 people as of the last count. And when you consider how Stephen Miller, Donald Trump, and J.D. Vance have made it clear, we'll play some of their clips. I'll do another video. It'll be in this episode. They've made it clear, and along with most of MAGA on social media, they have made it clear that they want to punish everybody. Now, we understand that they are going to try to do that anyway. But I would simply advise everyone on our side of the equation, it's too late now, it's already done, the die is cast, but never put into the hands of your rivals the moral high ground, either through political violence or through the celebration of political violence. We can do both. We can simultaneously say Charlie Kirk should still be alive, abhor the violence, but Charlie Kirk was not a good man.
Because one of the things that gets me, and we got some politicians in here, I'm going to tell y'all, I'm going to come for you if you ever say this. If you ever say, America, we better than this. You lying. You lying. We ain't better than this. America was born in political violence. America committed political violence during the slave trade. America committed political violence when black bodies hung as strange fruit on southern trees. America committed political violence against the Irish, against the Italians before they became white. America committed political violence when America passed Jim and Jane Crow laws. What do you think political violence was? Political violence when they bombed and massacred Black Wall Street, when they massacred Rosewood, when they massacred whites and blacks in Wilmington, North Carolina. Well, what do you think political violence is? Martin being killed, that's political violence. John Kennedy being killed, political violence. Robert Kennedy being killed, political violence. And you gonna say we better than this? No, you can't fix what you won't face until you look in the mirror and say this is a violent country that has done violence to too many people. We will never get our act together. It's time to repent, because if my people called by my name humble themselves and pray, turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive their sin, and heal the land.
Woo! You preaching?
Come on, we better than this. No, we ain't. We ain't better than this. We ain't better than this. But to get better, you got to acknowledge what's wrong.
My good God Almighty, I'm going to get to what Dr. Haynes said in a minute, but 2 Chronicles is what he was quoting. If my people, this is God speaking through the book of 2 Chronicles, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray, not atheists, not agnostics, not believers of other faiths, but if God's people, the Christians and everyone who believes in God, who are called by God's, okay, I'm sorry. I'll preach on Sunday. Let me get to this political violence thing, because he's absolutely right. The United States of America was born in violence, and the record of its birth, the birthing of this nation, is written not in myth, but in blood. In the lives that were taken and stolen, in the lives that were genocided, in the lives that were enslaved. This nation was born in political violence, and political violence has been the case ever since. So no, we're not better than this. To say that we are better than this is to deny that lynching trees once carried and bore what we call strange fruit, and that those roots still run underneath the streets of every city in this country. Assassinations of prophets, Dr. King, Malcolm X, and presidents John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert Kennedy, not Jr. That man's a mess, his daddy. Reminding us that this is not the exception, but this is the rule. This is the recurring refrain. This is the hook. This is the chorus on repeat in this nation's hymn of bloodshed. Every single massacre that Dr. Haynes just mentioned, America wants to forget Tulsa. America wants to forget Rosewood. America wants to forget Wilmington. But it repeats, it echoes the exact pattern of denial, because forgetting is the very mechanisms by which white supremacy protects its fragile ego and sense of false innocence. White supremacy in this country must pretend as if it is completely innocent. Everyone has to make Charlie Kirk completely innocent. He never did anything wrong. He was a perfect saint. He was a perfect Christian. Meanwhile, the bile, the bigotry that was coming out of his mouth, you have to 100% ignore the people who were hurt the most by Charlie Kirk. And this is what America does. This is what supremacy does. This is what Zionism does. They can't even see the world through the lens of the eyes of a child in Gaza. And don't get it wrong, neither could America. There's been plenty of children killed by the United States of America. Ask Tamir Rice, ask Emmett Till. But over in Israel, they can't even see the world through the eyes of a child. They will look at the emaciated bodies of children and not even care. Not only do they not care, but they laugh. Don't talk to us about celebrating the death of people when you have been celebrating the death of Palestinians, laughing about it, mocking it. You have no moral high ground, MAGA. Supremacist America cannot allow itself to see through the eyes of those who they seek to dominate, because if they ever did, it would collapse their myth, their belief, the stories that they tell themselves that they are good. And they would have to look at the very long historical record of the political violence that this nation has wielded against everybody that's not a white, conservative, rich person. Then there's a lot of people who don't realize they've been oppressed. A lot of white folks who don't realize that they have been oppressed by this system, because even though they're so poor, they can't even get their teeth fixed. But so long as they are white, and so long now that they are MAGA, they don't realize that they are oppressed, but that's their problem, not ours. The truth of the matter is that this nation was born in political violence. The truth of the matter is that this country has long ignored the ramifications of their actions, because if they ever allowed empathy, this is why Charlie Kirk didn't believe in empathy, because if you ever allow empathy into your heart, what is empathy? To see the world through the eyes of someone else. And if you ever allow yourself to see the world through the eyes of someone else, especially someone that you have been hurting, then something triggers on the inside of you. Whether it be guilt, whether it be acknowledgement, whether it be just simply admitting that you did something wrong. If empathy ever comes in, then the entire kingdom of evil and bigotry and cruelty begins to crumble. And so they need a hermetically sealed bubble from empathy so that they can continue to carry out their historic and consistent and cyclical political violence that they are now gearing up again to commit against everybody that's not MAGA. I need you to hit that share, that like, and that subscribe button. We are warming up. We are gearing up, and we're getting ready to do exactly what the Lord has called us to do, both in politics as well as in the pulpit. And if you stay with me long enough, we're going to show you what we're going to do in technology.